What is going on? I'm Clay Chick, and this is the Indoors. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm just drinking water tonight. No drinks. I'll explain why as we go, but how's everybody doing? I'm sure the chat should be catching up here right away. I think I have like a 25-second delay or something like that. What is up? Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Why no drinks? Oh, wait, there's a few more people in here, so just so I'm not repeating myself over and over again. I'm just leaving early, 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 early. Wish I was fishing. No fireball tonight. No. Blake, hello. How are you? D Hool, hello Clayton. Can you answer my question in the comments of your last video? Thank you in advance. I'll have to go look for it. I try to answer as many questions as I can in there. I get behind sometimes though. How does the width of the keel of your boat slap 3 foot waves? Um, it's 3 foot waves are big. 3 foot waves are really big, actually. Like everybody always says that when they go out, like, oh yeah, it's like I was in 3 footers, 4 footers. Like, no, you're probably in like a foot and a half, maybe a 2 foot wave if you're lucky. Like a 3 foot wave is big. Not an 18 footer and 3 footers is like you're gonna get pounded no matter how wide your boat is or anything. You're going to get pounded. Trash weather here in eastern Iowa, melting all the snow and ice next week. That's crazy. The weather is getting really, really crazy here. Like it's going to be warm. Okay, 1.5, 2 feet. It handles the waves pretty good. Like and you get there's a difference though between waves too, right? When you have like your deeper swells that are longer and you pound into them, right? Compared to like maybe like a gusty wind where it's like the waves are closer together. It's so different, right? So yeah, Jaden, how was your trip up here? It was good. Fishing was a grind. It was tough. I still got some videos coming out from there yet, though, in that area. Laker fishing was okay. Rainbow trout fishing was awesome. I just put that video out a few days ago. Walleye with fishing was tougher, and pike fishing, we actually pulled the pin on the pike the last day because it was too cold and it wasn't fair. I have tried the frostbite line a little bit. Yes, Dick Carter sells boat. Not yet. No, no apple pie tonight. No, there's no. I'm not drinking tonight because I'm leaving at 3 in the morning to go fishing. I got a good drive to be able to get on the ice tomorrow type of thing. So I'm going to leave like at 3:30 and try to get out somewhere for sun up. So those rainbows were crazy. The rainbows were crazy for sure. Went fishing Sunday, 30 meters, 30-meter M feet, and couldn't get the perch to bite. Downsize to a small, just put the line. Downsize so small, just put the line down ideas. The fish were obviously just grumpy. 30 feet's pretty deep for that. Obviously, if you're going to catch the perch, you're probably going to keep them all. But just keep in mind that a lot of the perch you catch out of 30 feet then will all be dead. And you're taking them home to eat, that's fine. Bro, you do your live videos every single Edmonton Oilers game. Is there an Oilers game tonight? Go Oilers! I don't really pick like the times the live videos or the lives I've been doing mostly is like the day before I'm going to release a video. So tomorrow I have a new video coming out, and I got a new video coming out for everybody, which the members have already seen, and then the members will have a new video as well tomorrow. So I'm kind of a week ahead here on videos right now. So congrats on 100K, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. Thanks, Be Trendy. 30 feet plan on keeping them all. Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. So honestly, they're probably just grumpy, right? Like that happens with those fish all the time. If you downsize and couldn't even catch them on that, then try moving to a different location. And sometimes you just have to write it off as the fish weren't biting. I was out the other day where I got this video come out on Sunday, but I was actually using the perspective mode on LiveScope. It was so cool. And I just watched fish swim around on the flat real slow, like all day. I was out doing some pike fishing and catching a couple walleye and some pike, but it was really cool to watch them. Sometimes fish just get grumpy, right? And they swim in circles and move around all the time, right? And don't really bite. That's it. Where do you target pike this time of year? Drop offs, a lot of drop offs, and I'm already checking some flats that like maybe they might be in March you're just not going to catch as many. But a lot of drop offs, like where there's some deep water where it comes right out from like, you know, like 30, 40 feet and comes up to 10 feet pretty quick. And I'm just on the edge of those drop offs a lot of this time of year. Hey, Clayton, big fan. Thank you so much for watching. Do you have any tips for brook trout and smaller lakes? I know pretty much nothing about brookies. I'm not going to lie. Shallow, I'm pretty sure you can catch them in shallow water though still. Treat them a lot like a tiger trout, I believe, where you can fish them in like, you know, 2-3 feet of water and be quiet. The quieter you are on shallow water bites, the better off you're going to be. So another one there, Shelly. Cheers, Clayton. Thank you, Shelly. I see all your comments on all my videos all the time. They're always so positive. Thank you so much. It's much appreciated. My dad will try to get out the side-by-side tomorrow while I'm home. Nice. I would stay all night. I would stay up all night if I had to leave at 3. I know. You get to that point where it's like, and I'm already packed though, ready to go. It's like, okay, I can do a live chat and hang out. But a lot of times it'll be like midnight and I'll just like look at my phone. I'm like, how is it midnight already? It's like, I want to leave at 3 or 4 tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, I'm the worst. But I'm knock on wood, but I'm kind of all packed, I think. Clayton, can you tell my son Brody to do his homework? Brody, go watch a Clayton Chick Outdoors video and then do your homework.
God, someone can hear me.
I know, I can hear you too.
Matthew also can hear me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is Cindy bench pressing? It does sound like you're, no, she's making protein balls for my fishing trip. Viking versus Baker's Narrows, both are really good. Honestly, like they both have access to Athapap, which is good. Baker's might be close to some of the bigger water stuff where I fish a lot of the times, but both are so good. Like honestly, I enjoy both places a lot. I'd say there's maybe some more species options probably closer by at Viking. I would say like where you're not like you got those species options at Baker's too, but sometimes you're sledding a lot further. So they're both so good. I enjoy both those places. Love the way you put fish resource first. Thanks, Jason. I'm actually not this video kept coming out tomorrow, but another one. I talked a little bit about how we as fishermen, including YouTubers and people that do Instagram and all that stuff, need to be a lot better. I'm seeing too much of there's like people, they do a video, they pull the fish out, they show it off for a video, and then they're like, okay, well now we're going to get some photos. So then they do photos, and then it's like, now let's turn the video back on and do a video release. It's like, what are you doing? It's one or the other. So, and in between there, you've taken the hook out of the fish, you've measured the fish, and I even saw one instance, I won't mention any names, on TikTok recently, where I called him out, where they pulled a lake trout out. He wasn't wearing a jacket or a hat or anything. And it's like part 1 is them fighting this laker. Part 2 is them pulling this laker out and showing it off. And then they're like, well, now we're going to get some photos. Part 3, they're releasing the lakers, and he has a different hat on. He has a hat on and a jacket. So somewhere between all these videos and pictures, he found time to put the fish down, lay it on the ground, do whatever, put a jacket on. And he said it was to make his partners happy. He did it for his partners. That is garbage. To me, that is absolutely garbage. And now with Aaron getting on the big, I'm getting on a rant here, but Aaron's on the kick too of like safe handling and taking care of fish. I'm going to continue with that too. I always have, but sometimes you risk the heat of people of pushback. It's like, oh, mind your own business. Like, no, these fish are important to the future and a lot of people use it for their livelihood. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about lodges in general. So I'm going to push that stuff. And honestly, I'd love to see more people stand up to people when they don't have proper fish care. I'm not talking about the people that catch a big fish and they decide to keep it. That's their own. If it's in their limit, that's their own. I'm talking more about the people that think they're doing the fish a favor by putting it through all that and then putting it back after it's been out of the water for 5 minutes first. So I'm gonna say stuff. I'm not gonna hide behind, and I'll put my name on there too. I'm not gonna change my name. I'm gonna put Clayton Chick Outdoors. I'm not hiding behind a computer screen or a keyboard. I'll have that talk with somebody at any time. So sorry to rant, but the video yesterday really got me, and I commented on it and everything. And yeah, it's just not cool.
You do need a drink.
I mean, Cindy says maybe I do need a drink. Yeah, I'm good. You can tell certain things like that work me up, but fish care is so important. What's your thoughts on all the big lake trout being caught? Obviously, fish handling is key, but do you think it puts a damper on the fishery? Um, Obviously, you're going to have a little bit of a mortality rate with that, right? So the more fish that are caught, the more fish that are going to die. Does it put a damper on it? No. In any situation, though, when you see more fish caught, obviously it's going to slow things down a little bit, right? When we open up a new lake in northern Saskatchewan for a flyout, and you go in there, and like the first day you're just hammering a bunch of big fish, and the next day it's less, and the next day it's less. So it's going to slow things down a little bit. It has to. There's no way it can't. And it'll level out, or it'll keel out. But fisheries also go in waves, right? Like you'll see fisheries that peak at certain areas where they're strong, and stock trout are a perfect example. Obviously, they have a lesser lifespan, and we don't know about the lifespan all the time about lake trout and all that stuff. But lakes peak. You're going to have really good times, and then you're going to have some tough times, right? So it's so hard. Of course, a bunch of bigger fish being caught in all the lakes is going to slow the fishery down a little bit. But at the same time, if you're taking care of the fish, right? Like it's hard to say. I get where you're coming from, Jaden, for sure, but it's fish handling, fish safety obviously is the biggest thing, but it has to. There's no way it can't slow the fishery down a little bit. But we have to protect those fish and take care of them so we don't destroy it. So I understand what you're saying, Jaden, for sure. Good luck in the land of giant Lakers. Giant Lakers? Who's going? Am I going Laker fishing? Oh, I should go Laker fishing. We'll see. We'll see. We're going at some point. Where are you going in the morning? Can't say, because somebody will probably beat me to my spot. Can't say. Clayton, what is your favorite fishing memory? Good question. Probably the grouper. The Goliath grouper is definitely up there for sure. You can see the video on Uncut Angling's channel, but that's probably one for sure. Yeah, the grouper would be one of my favorite ones, I'd say. How do you make your live scope so clear? I don't know. I guess I'd have to watch some other people's videos to see if their live scope stuff isn't clear. But I mess around with my settings a lot of time. I bring my gain way down. Unless I'm like, if I'm fishing open water and I need to see more visually, I'll turn my gain up more, and I don't mind a bunch of clutter when I'm ice fishing. I bring my gain down so far where I can just make out the bait that I'm using. I think that's a big thing for sure. What's your thoughts on the live minnow ban in 2027? I'm all for protecting the invasive species. I just don't believe it was right to punish the people in that sense, especially the leeches. So I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not gonna lie. Do you have to find a way to control them for sure, the invasive species? The problem is it's already too late. All of the zebra mussels and all that stuff and whatever else is already in probably every lake that is ever going to be an issue. Some lakes will be neutral to it and not. They could get zebra mussels in there, but the lake's strong enough where it fights them off or whatever. But I don't agree with it. I really don't personally. And if it was a huge issue, why are they banning it in 2027 and not tomorrow? Like if there's an actual issue with something like that, where it's like, listen, we have to put a stop to this or it's going to be out of control. Why isn't it done now? So I don't agree with that rule change at all. And it is what it is, right? Someone might be mad for saying that, but that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it for sure. And I just don't agree with it. I don't. There's been no live minnows in Saskatchewan since I've fished, so it won't make a huge thing or huge. I don't think it's going to really hurt a lot of things, but the leeches in the summertime, like I fish with leeches quite a bit, and although I'd rather fish artificial more than anything, it's just more fun. I enjoy myself more with artificial baits. I usually catch bigger fish with artificial baits too, but there's a time, where sometimes it's fun to fish with bait, especially if you have a little kid with you or something like that, where you just want to catch a bunch of fish. So I've ever fished North Dakota. No. You doing okay, Clayton? I'm good. Rumor is you might be looking for an intern, help on your ventures. Nothing right now, but maybe one day. I saw your comment on a video too. So I've ever fallen through the ice, not where it was like over my head. I've gone through like up to like my waist before in some ice, but I'm very, very cautious when it comes to ice. I will put my shoulder out, checking the ice with a spud bar at first ice, taking the precautions out there more than anything. Why do you never go to Lake Winnipeg for greenbacks? I was there last year actually for greenbacks. I stayed at the Yeti at Chris Gons, and I'm going back there this year as well. And Lake Winnipeg for me is like 5-6 hours away, so that's the biggest thing. A lot of the stuff that I go is like a long ways away. I fish. Jaden, have a good one, buddy. Hope you smash some monsters. Send some photos. What's your personal best lake trout? Through the ice is 44.5 inches, and open water is 48 inches. What hub do you recommend, Clayton, for ice camping? I like the Eskimo 850 XD. Jay uses the 650 XD from Eskimo. I like having the rectangle setup where I can like kind of have like a sleeping area and then a fishing area. If you're going to actually sit on your cot and fish the whole time, then probably the 650. I just don't like sitting on the cot all day just because your back ends up hurting by the end of the day, especially if you're going to ice camp for like multiple days. If you're just going for one night, well, maybe something like the 650, but if you're going to put more time in, I would say a little bit bigger. And my favorite right now would be the 850 XD from Eskimo. Hey Clayton, I'm a new fan after watching your videos. I just started my own channel, Wyoming Walleye, and so excited. I give you a ton of credit. It's so hard to film ice fishing. Thank you very much, Wyoming Walleye. And filming ice fishing videos is a lot harder than people might think. And I've seen so much different content online this year. Like, it's insane. Jay and I were talking about the other day. It was just like, there is so much new content on YouTube with fishing. Have you guys noticed that? Like, it's crazy. There's some good stuff. There's some weaker stuff for sure. And it's just like, I sometimes I feel grateful for getting in when I did. It's like, would my channel be at 100,000 subscribers if I started, later? Is that potential to get there harder with all the content that's out there? Like, I see my content no better than the next person's, right? Just because you look at your own content and think it's like not necessarily trash, but you always can do better or want to do better. And then lately I'm seeing a lot of comments where it's like, walleye again, or this, or your channel's getting stale. And it's like, I'm trying, I really, really am. I myself too want to like always change it up and whatnot, but I can see what people would say if it's stale and it's the same thing over and over, but I try to do something different. I really do. And sometimes it's just so hard to like go do different stuff than I have because it's crazy far. And yeah, so anyways, favorite underwater camera. My favorite is probably still the Aquaview HD 7i Pro. The 10-inch screen's amazing. If you're going to be in an ice castle or something like that, where you can have all power all the time, I'd go to the 10-inch. But I like the 7. Just it's a little bit easier for any of the filming that I do, where it's like in a shack, have to set up a little battery for it, and et cetera, et cetera. I like the HD 7i Pro. How's Jana's family doing after everything? They're doing good. They're and definitely a learning cycle yet still with everything with Hannah, but they're doing good. The Real Canuck, $6.99. Protein balls make good pike bait. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna need those protein balls.
No.
Cindy says no. I like it because my live scope screen was stale today. That's amazing. Oh, hope we found some fish too. Is the Otter stuff junk now? Why did you make the switch? No, Otter still makes really good stuff. There's nothing wrong with the Otter stuff. I didn't have any problems with any of the product. It's more of a switch for the future of the channel more than anything. It's literally just going to be a better partnership for my channel going forward. So that was why I made the switch. Of nothing bad to say about the Otter stuff at all. It's really good stuff. Any tips for me using a dead stick with a live minnow and an actively jigging spoon? Have been out all week and have want many walleyes in north. Come through my camera, just not biting. Downsize a little bit. I have a jig with me. It's kind of funny. I even have a jackknife jig. So I use these jackknife jigs for live minnows all the time. One of the things you can do is take this jig, and if this is the bottom, set that jig so it's sitting right here on the bottom and your line is just tight. And that way the minnow's going to stay tight to the bottom. A lot of times with like negative and neutral walleyes, you can get them to come down to the bait more than up. Obviously, you can try the whole up thing, but if they're not eating it, just put it down there and just get your line so your tip is just puts pressure on it ever so slightly, just so you can see if they just pick it up, right? It'll move. But take your, take it like that and just lay it on the bottom. Don't like take it and put it slack line, have it fall over like on the side or whatever. Just have it so there's just a little bit of pressure on it, and the jig just sitting right like that, and that minnow will bounce off the bottom. He'll bang himself into the sand all the time, and sometimes that can trigger them to come over. Something to try anyway. Do you prefer the Otter or the Eskimo Shacks? They're both a good product. I'm very happy with the Eskimo Shacks that I've been using. I have zero complaints. Obviously, I prefer the Eskimo stuff because it's what I'm using. And if I didn't like the product, I would just switch. I'll never use something on my channel where it's like, I think it's junk. I'm going to switch, right? So I'm very, very happy with it. I just noticed 100K. Congrats. Well, thank you so much. Ever use a Vexlar? I don't think I ever had a Vexlar flasher. I had a Markham flasher, I think was my first one. And what are they, an LX out there? It was a 5. It was an LX5 or however, whichever. That was years ago, like many, many moons ago. And then I had an Ice 55. I don't think I ever had an Ice 35. I went to an Ice 55 and then to a Helix 7. I never did have, I never had a Vexlar at any time though. How many cameras you take on your trip? What do you use to capture your live scope? I take probably like 7 or 8 cameras with me, but usually I have about 3 of them rolling at any given time. A head camera, a camera, a bigger GoPro, or not bigger, but a GoPro to capture kind of the whole shack, and then the main camera. I have a little camera that I use for intros and all that stuff as well, or to show stuff off. And then to use, I don't have it with me here. I use to capture the live scope. I use what's called an AverMedia 2 recorder. Dason, how's it going, buddy? What's your PB on a Last Mountain Lake? 13.60 pounds for a weight, 32.5 for length. Is there a certain type of minnow that you use? No, I just get whatever minnow they have at the place. I usually get my live bait from Lost Meadows. It's the only place I've ever actually gotten live bait ever. Which reminds me, I need to see if Lone still has some live minnows. What are those lights called you put on top of your shack? Snowmobiles don't pile drive you. It was a beacon. I think try an Otter beacon. I think it was. Agreed on the biscuit fishing. So we must be talking about brisket fishing. I am the best brisket fisherman out there. Go Lions, go! Right? We're going to the conference finals. That's awesome. Look at say we like I'm this big football fan all of a sudden. The only good thing is I'm not a bandwagon jumper. Is the Baker's Narrows Lodge Clayton special sold out? It's not sold out. I actually talked to Brett today. We still have availability on both trips, and it should be a good trip. It really should. I saw a list of the people that are coming so far. There's a lot of repeats that have now been there for 3 years in a row. So if people are coming back time after time, you know that it's a good time and we're doing something right for that trip. So I'm excited to see all of the people that I've hung out with in the past, and I'm excited to see all the new people that are coming up too. Kelly, your content isn't stale. Well, I appreciate that, Kelly. And it's nothing wrong. Like, even though I know I shouldn't think like that, it's just like what it's called like writer's block, right? Where it's like you want to do something new, you want to figure other stuff out. And, I've never been the person that's always wants to do the same thing over and over, right? Obviously having the YouTube job. So I do appreciate that though. I do. I have one GoPro, but want to start improving my videos. What would you recommend as a second add-on, like stationary camera on a tripod? AverMedia screen recorder. Probably a camera that you can like show your fish off and talk to, and then use your GoPro like on your chest or your hat. I prefer the hat just because you see more of what's going on. You're always looking at it, right? And yes, it looks silly on the hat, but it captures everything. So thankfully I have a big head, so it doesn't stand out as much. But some kind of camera that you can put on a tripod in front of you. A good one would be like a Canon G7X Mark II. That camera is like $1,000, but it would capture, it's got a nice viewfinder. It would capture your fish that you're showing off. The only thing with that one is you probably would have to get a couple different batteries because you'd only last for you know, like a few hours at the most. And I'm pretty sure it shuts off after like every 15 minutes. So that's the toughest thing I find with those, like the DSLRs and whatnot, and those mirrorless cameras, that maybe there's a way to change it, but they always seem to like power off after like half an hour or 15 minutes. So I run a Canon XA60 now is what I'm running, and I can run that thing until the battery goes dead. So get a hold of me, Lifted Mac, and we'll hit up the red together before the season is over. I'll keep that one in mind. Lifted Mac. Get a hold of me, Lifted Mac, the red. I need to fish the red at some point. Will you meet any derbies this year, Clay? Nothing's planned right now. I was thinking about maybe going down to the Crooked Lake one or something like that, potentially, if I'm around when it's going on. I don't know if I'll fish in it, but maybe just to kind of show up and help out or whatever, or something like that. Lake of the Prairies one, I haven't really decided yet. Hey, buddy, shout out from the Basque Strong. Your giveaway went out, Basque, yesterday, I think. So how do you edit so quickly? It takes me bloody ages. Congrats on the 100K. Thanks, Benjamin. I saw your video too with your walleye and your pike. And as far as the editing quickly goes, I just sit down on my computer and I just give her until it's done. Honestly, like, and it's not. It may seem quick to you, but to me, it's not. Right? It's still, if I fish for 5-6 hours, it's 5-6 hours of editing. So I just sit down and get her done. And if you do, I've done it enough, right? I've now put out 409 videos or something, so I'm getting a little bit better at doing the editing part of it. But now it's almost to the point where it's like I gotta figure out more. Like I gotta maybe work on color corrections or all that stuff, right? Like I don't do a lot of that style of editing, like anything, like make it too fancy. It's my editing is really basic. I find really basic, but it works for me. Do you like Tom Bowley's work? Tom Bowley is probably one of the best channels out there for like teaching you how to catch walleye, I would say, in my opinion. I watch all your videos now. I appreciate that so much. Have you seen the airplane ice fishing shack? I have seen it. What snowmobile do you have? I have a 2019 Skidoo Expedition 900 Ace, 16-inch track wide, 154. Is that what the Skidoos are? 154, I think, something like that. There's a fishing for fun this weekend at Kenosi. Well, that sounds fun. Lifted Mac. Okay, so now your name's Lifted Mac on there. Okay, so that's the same. Were you Jay on there before, Lifted Mac? Hey, Clayton, promise me you'll be at the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show next year. I'll never make promises and I'll never guarantee, but I will definitely try to make it down for that one. I was close this year. I was very, very close. If we would have got ice sooner and I could have got some videos out and been rolling a little bit, I would have come down. I ended up going with the 650 XT this year. I'm the Buffalo Plaid. What do you like about the Eskimo so far this year with the huts? I thought the material felt slightly better than the Otter. What do I like mostly about it? The storage hammocks, probably. The one thing I didn't like about the Otter was like the way you put your gloves up there and stuff like that. It always fell down on the ground. The Eskimos have like really good storage areas there. You can put a bunch of stuff up there and it's not on the ground 5 minutes later. Every time with the Otter ones, I put my gloves up there, it slide down. That's probably the one thing I like the most. I just actually did I used the 650 XT, the Plaid one. When did I go fishing? Sunday. I was out Sunday. I was using it on Sunday. I like that shelter a lot. You and Tom are my go-to coffee and video guys. That's awesome, Bob. Clay, you're the goat. Been running tantrums in a slap shot rod. Been slaying them. Love your videos. Thanks for the tips. You're so welcome. I appreciate everything. I'm glad I can help out somehow. Okay, no, J224 was talking to me about the Red River. Oh, I see. Okay, now I get it. I like that. I like that people can communicate with each other on here. That is awesome. And thousands more inches of fish than Jay. I missed whatever Matter Has was talking about, but that's funny. Do the foam floor tiles help a lot? They help with keeping your feet warm. I find, like, if I don't take them for the day, and by the end of the day, you know, your feet could be a little bit cooler than if you had the foam tiles on, like, or at least one of them, right? and they definitely help a lot with the whole ice fishing stuff or the ice camping big time. The biggest thing is put your foam mats out first before, like, don't dig your snow away. Put your mats down because it'll actually insulate that snow and it won't melt as quick or sometimes not at all. So putting the insulated mats down help a lot. And I've been using the thicker ones. I got them from Costco. They're like a half an inch or 3/4 inch, whatever they are. They're thicker. They're way better, like way better. I wish I found your channel sooner. Such good content. Thank you so much for the time and effort you put into your videos. Well, thank you so much, Levi. I appreciate that a lot. And then I saw another question you had there. You fish the Sangwa River? I have not. Hi, Clayton. Big fan. Is Outdoors your last name? Yes. No, Schick is my last name. SCHICK. For the longest time too, I have emails, right? Like Clayton Schick, and people will like look at me and they'll go, why does your email say Clayton's Chick? No, it's Clayton Schick. But yes. PB walleye, 13.60 pounds, and for weight and length is 32.5 inches. Bro, I'm out fishing now. That sounds amazing. Schick is German. Yes, I believe Schick is German. What kind of setup would you recommend for lake trout? I like the Mr. Big or the Slugger from Frostbite. Mr. Big if you're fishing for small, medium, and the odd big lake trout with baits that are like 2 ounces or smaller. And if you're going to fish a bait that's like 2 ounces and heavier all the time, I'd go with the Slugger. Hello, Mr. Outdoors. Hello, Blake. Have you ever fished Michigan? No, never fished Michigan. Nope, never fished Michigan yet. Chartreuse, yes. What is Frostbite? Frostbite is a company, a fishing company. They make rods and tackle mostly, and a few other products. Are you still finding walleyes close to the weed lines? The weeds seem like they haven't died yet. You know, I don't fish a lot of weed lines for my stuff, although I haven't fished a lot of small bodies of water. The smaller the body of water, you're definitely going to want to fish kind of weed lines. I have one lake that I meant to go fish. I just haven't got there yet. I'm sure they still be in the weed lines. The chances are the weeds haven't died yet, right? Because it's been warm out. There's the lakes, the ice still has a lot of sun penetration, so it's still going to keep those weeds going. As soon as they don't have as much sun penetration, that's when those weeds start to die. But if there's still good oxygen off of those weeds and they're alive, those walleyes are still going to be in there. Is your family the Schick Razor family? No, it's not. But I say that all the time when people I'm like, what's your last name? I'm like, Schick, like the razor. Mr. 30 guest special, guest soon. I'm trying to think. Adam and I have everything planned right now. If we have anything planned. Nothing right now. Actually, we have one thing maybe planned. He's on any videos coming up soon, but hopefully at some point. Have you ever fished Amisk Lake in the winter? I have not. I've only fished it in the late fall. I fished. I do want to really get up and fish Amisk in the winter, though. I really do. Fishing with you looks awesome. Definitely a bucket list trip. It's not that good, Levi. It's definitely overrated to fish with me. Ask Cindy. Do you fish snap wraps? No, I don't really fish the snap wraps. I fish a lot of hyper rattles, a little bit of jigging wraps, and hyper hammers. Oh, I actually fish the moonshine shiver minnows a little bit too, and I'm going to be fishing those a little bit more this year because they don't have that front hook on them either, and I think I'm going to do a lot of more casting and pitching this year. So you should just call it we should just call it the Cindy's channel, Clayton's Chick. There you go. Do you ever target perch? I do once in a while. Yes. You should take out Quick Dick McDick, right? He's funny. I know exactly who he is. I would like to take him fishing one day. Actually, that'd be a really good collab. And I could go up in his area, right? Because he's in that Tufnell. That would actually be a really good collab. I should hit him up sometime. I wonder if I'd be big enough for him that he wanted to go fishing with for the day. Go out with his truck's blue balls. Yeah, it's funny. We need more videos with Jay. I know Jay and I are like 10 hours away from each other. I'm currently editing a video film today, and man, it was rough. How bad does a day of fishing need to be for you to scrap the footage? Usually got to be pretty bad, or if it's very mediocre and I can get out fishing again, then I'll start to like scrap footage. But it's like sometimes you only have 1 or 2 days to fish because of weather, or I've got other stuff going on, and then I won't scrap the footage. A lot of that really depends on what I kind of have in the bank, because I try to always like have stuff coming out. So, and I know maybe that's not the right way to do it, right? But yeah, at the same time, it seems like people want to see those tougher days too. So it's good to mix it in once in a while. It's good to keep it real in that sense for sure. But it's got to be usually pretty bad before I scrap it. I found your channel in 2020 as a non-ice fisherman. I was up in the middle of the night with my newborn. Watching you pull child-sized Laker through the ice is incredible. Well, that is awesome. As a non-fisherman, as a non-ice fisherman, I appreciate you watching all the ice fishing videos. And now your newborn would be like 3-ish. So hopefully you get out fishing with him or her in the future, whether it's ice fishing or open water fishing. But thank you for that. That's an awesome comment. Really cool. I bought a Garmin Echo Map that came preloaded maps, I believe, with Navionics. Any idea how to use the Active Captain? I haven't used that app yet, but I need to at some point, because I haven't messed around with Navionic maps very often. I got a flag. Yes. How's fishing going? Drill and chill, run real. That's awesome. Never mind Clay versus Jason. It'll be Clay versus Hannon. I feel like Hannon would be more competition than Jay, though. I love Jay. He's got a really special, cool video coming out soon that I helped him with on a project recently. I won't spoil anything at all, but it's he showed me the rough copy of it the other day, and it's pretty cool. Hits home for sure. What's the most remote place you've ever fished? Probably up when I guided at Scott Lake Lodge. I remember going to these these really remote backcountry grayling lakes and rivers and stuff like that. I don't even remember the names of the rivers. I was like 20 years old or 19 years old. That's probably the most remote I've ever fished. Have you ever gotten into fly fishing? I actually love to fly fish, but I like to fish for predator fish. I like pike. I like lake trout. I like big predator fish more than anything. The whole river thing has never really done much for me. I don't enjoy it as much. But I like strip setting on a big laker or a pike. I've done tarpon before with the fly rod. That was pretty epic. So yeah, I do like to ice fish. I mean, sorry, fly fish. I do. CSO Carter, what's up, buddy? Go Kings, right, Carter? Didn't they lose again last night in overtime? Again? Just so you know, maybe in case you didn't watch, Carter, or see the update, Kings lost again last night. I think to the Sharks. It's okay, Carter. It's always next year. Hey, look at it this way. The rate the Kings are going, Carter, you won't have to really waste much time in playoffs, right? You can just go fishing. Ever try for muskie? I've muskie fished twice now on 2 different trips. Aaron, myself, and Jay went out to Nipissing one year, and we went to Lake of the Woods, Jay and I, one year too. Walton Lake is super remote and crazy. It is. It's a long ways up there in the middle of nowhere. It is. Wipes and baby wipes are key while ice camping. Yes, they are. Kings lost to the worst team in the league. Well, no, the Sharks beat the worst team in the league. How steep does a drop-off need to be for you to check it out for ice fishing for Lakers? You don't need too steep of a drop-off for Lakers. I like a lot of times I like flats. Like if it's really steep, I'm really not into it for Lakers as much. Maybe with live scope now I'd be a little bit more in what's the word I'm looking for? I would more likely fish a lot or a big steep structure, but I prefer like flats or where there's like a hump up here and then there's deep off of each side, or maybe there's a hump here and it comes down like this and plateaus here and you fish this flat on the bottom. A lot of times when you have like a structure like this, say that this is the bottom here, where can you see me on the camera? This is like the bottom, but you have a hump that's like here and comes all the way down. This area in there, they travel around that structure that's sticking way up here, if that makes sense. And usually like that, It's 66 feet. 66 is definitely one of my depths. It's so crazy how often that happens. I love 60 to 70 feet. I really do. Who's carrying Finicky Foolers? Stillwater Adventures in Verdun, Manitoba has them. Oh, which reminds me, I have to reply to his email. I have an email from there. We're supposed to do a giveaway at some point, and he emailed like 3 weeks ago, and he probably thinks I ghosted him. Oh, I'm a douchebag. Donkey Clayton. What makes a good night bite location? Well, wherever the fish are traveling. Um, that's so tough because it can change so often. I've gone some areas where the night bite is so strong, and the next time it's garbage. So, what makes a good area for a night bite? Honestly, it's just right place, right time. Like your areas that during the day that are good at some point should be good at night as well. Like walleyes and well, me and Aaron and I talked about this one time, and he's like, "Well, have you tried it like 11 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock?" I'm like, "No, man." I was like, "There's no night bite there," and he's like, "No." He's like, "There's feeding windows, right? If you have a window that's from 3 to 4:30, there's an hour and a half feeding window. Even though you don't have much of a night bite, there's still going to be a feeding window at some point, right? It could be 2:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is. It's not like it's like the next day where it's another feeding window, every 24 hours. There is usually feeding windows for these fish. So right place, right time for night bite stuff. I find a lot of times for sure. How deep do walleye go in the winter? I'm sure they go like 100 feet deep. They'll go as deep as a lake. Maybe they won't go in like 300 feet or 200 feet or whatever. I don't know. But walleye will go deep in the wintertime for sure. And they'll go deep in the summertime too. You don't even realize it in the summertime just because they're way more active. So you're catching fish in the shallows, but they're still fishing deep water too. So reply so we can enter the giveaway. I'm right here. What giveaway? What giveaway? What's the LVS 34 like? Oh, yes. Reply so we can enter the giveaway. Yes. So Cindy had to tell me what I was talking about, what that meant. Okay, you're right. I have to reply that email. I do. What's the LVS 34 like past 50 feet? I find the LVS 34 is good till like up to like 80 feet probably. I'm gonna do some Laker fishing here at some point soon. I should probably do some tests with that because do have both transducers. I almost wish I had two units set up so I could do both at the same time, but I'm gonna maybe do a switch halfway through the day or something like that. So, do you know how much your camping setup costs in detail? I don't. It's not that much though. I feel like the shack's the most expensive part. The heater is probably the second most expensive. We're not talking fishing gear. We're talking just the shack setup in general. Cot's the most expensive. Sleeping pad isn't that much. Yeah, it's not that much. What is worse, Clay, being a donkey or being an ass is worse for sure. There's nothing wrong with being a donkey. How's the Ion Alpha? The Alpha is so good. Interested in your thoughts if the LVS 32 versus the LVS 34 versus the LVS 30 62 is worth it. In 80 plus feet of water, I would definitely be fishing the LVS 62 100% if you're going 80 feet plus. The 34, you're probably still going to do okay. The LVS 32 and 80 feet doesn't do as good though at all. I know you don't keep many fish when you do. How do you harvest them? I do keep fish. I like to keep fish to eat. I do. And how do I harvest them? I snap their necks and I cut their jugular, their throat, and I bleed them out. I literally like to bleed them out. If you're thinking of moving to the live scope, is the 62 better than the 34? It really depends on how often you're going to fish deeper water. If you're going to fish deeper water lots, then yes, the 62. But if you're fishing like shallow stuff all the time or 30 feet or 40 feet for Lakers, you're good. If you're fishing walleye 15, 20, 25 feet, 30 feet, you're still good with the 34. Just the 62 is a lot more money, but it actually isn't as detailed as the 34 is. The 34 is more detailed than the 62 is. I would recommend doing some research and kind of reading up on it of what the differences are between the two. Have you ever fished topwater baits at night? For tarpon, I have. I don't think I've heard any topwater for pike or anything, but I've done tarpon with topwater at night, and it was crazy. Like it was so crazy. If I'm catching a bunch of small walleye, should I move or switch tactics where I'm fishing? Um, Probably switch tactics first, but a lot of times too, no, I'd say move. If you're on like a bunch of small walleye, you're likely don't have any big fish in that area. If you're catching small walleye and all of a sudden it shuts off though for the small walleye, there could be some bigger fish in the area because the small fish will take away or will run scared. Every lake is different. Some lakes that I fish seem to be like big fish areas where you'll sit there all day, maybe catch one or two walleye. They're usually going to be big. If you're in an area that's got a bunch of small fish, your chance of catching a bigger fish is less, but it still is possible. But they tend to kind of team up in sizes a lot, I find though, and usually you'll never have like a pile of big fish all there together. I compare big walleye to people that are maybe older or whatever, where they don't have as many friends anymore and they're a little bit more grumpy. They don't like being around a big school of people. They just kind of like being by themselves. Have you noticed live imaging affecting fish behavior? I don't believe in live imaging affecting the fish behavior at all. I watched on perspective mode the other day where I'm looking out 55 feet this way, 55 feet that way, 55 feet forward, and I'm like the whole thing, right? Like it's a huge area, and I'm watching these fish just swim like this. They go up here on this flat, and they come down here, and they go around here and over here. Fish are for a fish. Let me get this. Let me kind of like paint a picture here. If you see a fish on your live scope in forward mode, 60 feet away, for him to swim straight to you, you have to be like on the exact same line, like this perfect line. A lot of times these fish, where they're moving, they're coming into your cone angle at some point and then they're leaving. So yeah, it looks like they're going around you, they're avoiding you. What that is just neutral, negative fish that aren't chasing down baits. They're not looking for baits for food. They might see your rattle bait there or hear it, but they're not hungry. They're a negative fish. They're just swimming. You have to have this perfect line for them to come at you at 60 feet, right? I know there's a hole on Lake Winnipeg right now where everybody is like just literally like they are so obsessed, and it's great. I love everybody has an opinion. You can have discussions, but they say that fish are going around their live imaging transducer. It hits 20 feet, 15 feet, 13 feet, whatever it is. Well, maybe try little things like don't move it in the shelter or whatever, right? Noise and all that stuff. Now, I'll argue that one until I'm blue in the face. I'm not a believer in that at all. Yeah, that's my theory. Fish have to come on such a perfect line, and you'll never prove it. Even if they were, you'll never actually be able to prove it. Like you'll Aaron study with the barotrauma stuff. That stuff you can actually look into and figure it out and test it. How are you ever going to test something like that? Like literally, that's like having a test that's like, oh well. Today, the walleye wanted a red jig. Well, why is that? Well, when I switched to a green jig, they weren't eating it. Or did you switch to the red jig and the fish just weren't as actively hungry at that time or something, right? Like, how do you actually prove it? You can never prove it. Prove it in perspective mode. Well, I watched fish in perspective mode the other day, so I really did. I did. It's just my opinion. That's all it is. What did I miss? Nothing. Ever targeted browns? Very little. Very, 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 very little. How much for a private fish? Unfortunately, I don't do any of that at all. So North End Fishing. The funny thing is he probably has a channel too. Somebody should go there and go to his channel. Donkey. Thanks, whoever took care of that. Anyways, Dason. Do you ever use perspective mode? Why or why not? You know what? I could definitely, after fishing with perspective mode yesterday or on Sunday with it for ice fishing and watching pike, I'm actually going to have perspective mode in not my video tomorrow, but the video coming out on Sunday. And it was cool. Like it was really, really cool to watch them on the screen. It was interesting. I was actually watching too at one point. I watched a wall. I should have found this and put it on the video, or I should have commented, but I watched a walleye. What I'm assuming is a walleye because it was a smaller mark. I could kind of start to pick out the bigger fish from the smaller ones eventually, but there was a walleye. It was swimming across, and there was a pike coming here, and all of a sudden the pike turned towards the walleye, and he was following it around a little bit. It was actually really neat to watch. I'm going to use perspective mode a lot when it comes to open water, I think. I really am. I'm just starting to figure it out more and more. How far did you see in what depth? I was in six feet, and I was looking out 60, 70 feet. Like in a circle. It was like, right, not a circle, but a half circle. It was so cool. It was so cool. Just got my PB walleye tonight, 29 inches, 9.75 pounds. So congratulations, Aaron. That is awesome. That is very, very awesome. Good for you. Who's your favorite fisherman? Huh? Carter, are you still here? Carter Reed's my favorite fisherman. The corner's looking cleaner. Are those two boxes from Fish Frostbite? No, those aren't boxes. Those are decals. Cindy got some new decals made. Just picked them up fresh. How many did you get? 200? Oh, 200 new decals. I am Mr. 30. Whose? Yeah, Ben Fisher, your order went out. Do you use blade baits? I don't use blade baits a lot. I need to use them more. I know blade baits work really, really early season and then late season for the most part. Would you ever do a video with Jay, Aaron, and Justin? I've done a video with Jay and Aaron. I've never done anything with Justin. I would definitely do a video with Jay and Aaron again at some point for sure. Justin, well, Justin's Justin. He might be a little bit too off the wall to do a video with me, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know. I like Justin, just not when he called when Justin had his falling out with Frostbite. He called the Frostbite guys soy boys, and to me, I was like, well, you're just targeted me. He called me a soy boy, so I just haven't really talked to him since in that sense, or in that much since then. So that's just Justin. Justin's Justin. I hope he does well for sure. North End Fishing, the guy that was I think that's the guy that was talking about fish tacos and stuff. Leaves a 279 super chat. I love you, Clay. Love you too, North End. Hope everything's well. Do you think they'll start putting live image on boats as standard? No, I don't think that'll ever happen. I think it's always going to be like something you have to purchase on your own. Pretty sure. What would you set up on a jaw jacker for lake trout if you can't use Cisco on Simcoe? We can't use any fish. We can't use any fish we're allowed to keep. So, really? Huh. Oh, you can't use Cisco's. There's got to be something else then, right? I would find whatever the bait is that you could. Obviously, you can keep whitefish, you can keep Cisco's. I'm not sure what I would use. Herring, like something store-bought herring, smelts, whatever you can buy from the store, right? I think. Can you not use Cisco's that you can, like, commercially bought Cisco's that are already frozen? That'd be crazy if you couldn't use that on Simcoe, even though it was like, that would be kind of crazy. Interesting. I'll have to try to read the rules for that so I can understand that more. Do you ever switch spoons, treble hooks for a single? I don't. I really pretty much run a treble almost all the time. Jamie, welcome to CSO membership. Welcome, buddy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Clayton. Are you going to have more large sweaters available? Yes, at some point we will have more hoodies available. Right now, I think we just have small and mediums. We're going to do another hoodie run at some point. We're getting close to that. I would say we'll probably start ordering stuff this spring, summer, and then have like a good fall push out for merch again.
Someone asked if you'll do Saskatchewan hoodies like we did the Manitoba.
Saskatchewan hoodies like Manitoba. Yeah, I would definitely consider doing something like that for sure. I would, because I do lots of fishing in Saskatchewan for sure. We'll have to ask Tourism Saskatchewan if I'm allowed to do something like that, or if they're gonna copyright me for using the Saskatchewan logo, right? Tourism Saskatchewan does not treat me like Travel Manitoba does. I'll tell you that much. Dason, you'd buy one. I'm sure you would. Let us know when we restock hoodies for sweaters. We will for sure. We will. Look at the Berkeley Vibrato for lake trout blade bait. I have a few. Yeah, that the vibrato is a good bait. Sabile was the vibrato originally, and then I think Berkeley bought out Sabile or the vibrato or however that works. But yes, I have used the vibrato years ago. Can you do an electronics free episode? I did one this spring. I went shore fishing. I never used any electronics when I went shore fishing, besides Google Maps. I used earlier in the day to look for spots. Come fish in the States with fans. I need to get down there at some point. I'd like to maybe fish Devil's Lake. Maybe Devil's Lake. Actually, I want to go fish Metagosh. I've never caught a bluegill before. I want to go catch I want to go catch a bluegill in Metagosh. Name a soccer player for an edit. Oh my goodness. I should know this. I don't watch soccer at all. How could I not? I'm drawing a blank on the famous ones. Iglesias. Iglesias. I can't. I'm sorry. That's gonna be a horrible edit. I can't name a soccer player. I've failed that one. Failed. Somebody can type one in here, and I'll make it. I'll mention it like I was the one that came up with it. Messier. 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 Am I saying that right? Messier. 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 Here's right. Messier. Does that work for you? Paul Moulin. Do you watch curling? Very little. I'll watch it when I'm sitting with my parents sometimes because they like to watch a lot of curling. So I'll maybe watch curling with them or with them, and it's interesting to watch curling at some point. Like they're very talented people, very talented. Is Mega Live worth the money? It's better than no live imaging, but if you're going to buy everything like the graph, like the head unit and the transducer, get a live scope. But if you have a unit that's already compatible with the live scope or with the Mega Live, it's definitely worth adding it, in my opinion. It's still Carter likes his he obviously likes fishing with the live scope more, but he still fishes with his Mega Live though. Thoughts on Eskimo rather than Striker? You know what? When I made the switch from Striker to Eskimo obviously was a package deal with the shacks, with the suits and all that stuff. I wasn't really sure, and this was before I even decided any contracts or anything like that. They sent me a bunch of apparel just to kind of like look at it, and I was like, oh, it's actually really nice stuff, right? I don't know why, because maybe it's just like the coloring's more plain and more bland, which actually I like. If you notice the Striker stuff, I like more of the plain stuff. I was never really into like all the flashy stuff. And they sent it to me, and I looked it over. I was like, "This is really good." Now, fast forward, I have like 4 different suits. I wear um, the backcountry suit. No, roughneck. I wear the roughneck suit more than anything. The knee pads on them are so good. I like the legend suit too. I just haven't worn it really a lot yet, so it's fine, bro. Sorry, dude. Yeah, that works. Hopefully that's okay. Messier. There we go. Hopefully that works a little bit for you. Do you lose a lot of lures? I don't really lose that many lures. Not ice fishing for sure. Really don't. All right, Clayton, I'm off to bed. Got to get up work early tomorrow morning. Talk next live chat. Congrats on 100K. Keep the slick work. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it. I'm pretty much going to actually. I'm gonna have a members only chat for 20 minutes or so first, and then go to bed too, because I also have to get up early in the morning to go to work as well. Yes, it's fishing, but it is still work. It is. Clayton, how much can we get from the current live? How much can we get from the current live image line? Look how far we've come from FL18. What we'll be using in 20 years. Imagine. I only think the other thing you can like really do right now is like a live like 360. You know how like Mega or Humminbird has Live 360 or Mega 360, whatever it is. I'm drawing a blank on the proper name for that right now. 360 imaging, where it updates as it turns. A live unit of that would probably be pretty cool. But then you'd almost have to have like another transducer that you could see the water column going up and down too, right? So it's going to get a little bit crazy, because then the screens are going to have to be bigger for you to view everything properly on there, right? So that's probably where it's going to go. I really feel like things are going to go bigger before they get more advanced. Aaron said it years ago when he made a video on the live scope that it's like The word game changing gets thrown around way too often. I use it too often, I'm sure. That's like the first tool in fishing that was like really game changing for a long time. One more question, and we're gonna wrap this one up. What model is the display screen for your Garmin? I'm running the 8612. GPS map 8612 is what I'm running. So, anyways, thank you everybody. Pray for the Lions. Go Lions, go. Go Lions, go. Sunday. Where are you headed tomorrow? I can't tell you because you'll probably beat me there. But I'm going to get up really early, go fishing for the day. New video coming out tomorrow evening, I think, like 4 or 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock. And yeah, I already got videos saved up for tomorrow and for Sunday. Thanks everybody for hanging out. And yeah, cheers everybody. Take care.